This just in. Breaking news. Our top stories tonight. Phil Hellmuth challenges Daniel Negreanu on the internet. Who does that? Next up, there's been serious high-stakes action over at Party Poker. PokerStars fires back. Can I interest you in some chess?
Oh, $5 cash!
No? How about second place paying more than first? Alright, then how about just less money up top? Just think about it. Also tonight, a crime syndicate burns down local home game. This is one game you don't want to run too hot in. In other news, I've decided to do something unique and creative. I'm going to be giving away 1% of my profit from Poker Masters or $500, whichever one's greater, and you can enter in the description below. And finally tonight, a major film studio is taking John Hesp's story to the big screen. This is the best idea I've seen since David Bazoff made those trades. No, not for you? Well, how about taking away promised rake back from S&E players? Not your speed? How about you go fuck yourself? All of this and more tonight on Poker News. Let's jump right in and talk about Daniel Negreanu calling people out on Twitter. It all started with this original tweet from Daniel where he tweets saying, "Looking for action for Poker Masters? I want to bet myself. Even money, must win purple jacket, $50,000 cap per player." Now, if you're not familiar with what Poker Masters is, it's a tournament series that starts today, and it's going to be 8 days of tournaments. There are going to be 4 $50,000 buy-ins and one $100,000 buy-in. You can re-enter one time in every 50K tournament, and you cannot re-enter in the 100K. At the end of the week, whatever player has cashed for the most money will win the purple jacket. So it's certainly an advantage if you have the kind of bankroll where you can play every event, but also rebuy every time. So essentially, if you will rebuy every time the same as Negreanu, then it's going to just come down to who's a better player, and on average, that player will win. Negreanu specifically asked me if I wanted to crossbook. If I win the purple jacket, he owes me 50K. If he wins the purple jacket, I owe him 50K, and I gladly accepted. In fact, I offered if he wanted to add a 0 to the bet and make this bet 500,000, I'd be willing to do that as well. After booking with me, a bunch of other people jumped in and wanted action as well, and we have a list right here of players he's betting against. This includes Tom Marquise, Jake Schindler, Brian Rast, Fader Holes, Rainer Kemp, Dan Smith, I don't think Christoph will be playing, Adrian Mateos, and many other people as well. Now, this is kind of an interesting strategy from Daniel. He's most likely not going to win the jacket. When he doesn't win, it's almost certain the person that does, he will owe 50K to. But when he does win, he's going to collect from 20 people, and it'll add another cool million onto his winnings. So this is a way of making the stakes a bit higher, making when he does win a lot more profitable, but mainly, most of the time by far, he will just lose and owe somebody 50K. Negreanu then tweeted at Phil Hellmuth asking if he wanted this 50K crossbook, but Phil Hellmuth raised the stakes, saying, "Why don't you book me at Poker Masters? If I win 4 million, pay me 4 million. If I lose 200,000, I'll pay you 200,000. Not missing a beat, Fedor Holz jumped into the mix, tweeting back, "Is this a real offer?" Hellmuth responded to Fedor saying, "Likely yes, I'll sell to friends who want pieces of me, but Real Kid Poker has to take all of it. I don't want multiple people booking it." Now, it's unclear if anything actually did go down. That was kind of the end of the Twitter conversation. But at bare minimum, Negreanu will scoop between 500K and $1 million if he does win the purple jacket, on top of all of the money he would win from winning a bunch of events. So certainly a high stakes bet from Negreanu. Likely he's going to pay out 50K, could win a lot more money, should be an interesting week over at Poker Masters. Now, as far as Poker Masters goes, I'm planning on playing every event and going for that purple jacket. I am giving away 1% of my profit, and if I don't make over $50,000, I'm going to give away $500 anyway, so we for sure have a winner. If you guys want to enter, the link is in the description below. Moving on, let's talk about these high-stakes poker games going on over at Party Poker. Now, Joe Ingram 1 has done a couple of streams where he's followed these games along. They tend to do 100-200 pot limit Omaha with a lot of familiar faces. Last week's action included Rob Young, Sam Trickett, Isildur 1, Patrik Antonius, and Leon Sukernick, who was on a over $500,000 stack at one point in the session. Now, another interesting aspect of this game is recently Sam Trickett said that both Phil Ivey and Tom Dwan told him that they would love to play in the Party Poker High Stakes Cash game, and it would be awesome to see these guys back on the virtual felt. I remember back in the day when Rail Heaven was going and all the heads-up battles between Isildur and Tom Dwan. We want those days back. Now, I know it's not No Limit Hold'em, which is the game I think most of us would prefer to see, but PLO is still pretty good, and if it's going to be at this high of stakes, it's going to be interesting no matter what. Now, our next story is kind of an interesting one. Apparently, a crime syndicate found a rival poker game in New York and tried to burn down the building. Apparently, their home game was losing a lot of traffic to these other games, and they decided to take matters into their own hands. And we actually have a clip of what happened right here. Now, there was a 12-year-old and one resident in the building while that was going on, and I think that they were safe. I don't see anything that indicates otherwise, so they probably made it out just fine. We had a video recently where we talked about things that could go wrong in a private game. I'm going to go ahead and add this to the list. There are just so many problems that can happen in private games. Just to name a few, the rate can be outrageously high. The players can be colluding against you.
The entire building could be set on fire.
Our final story of the night, and frankly, this is kind of baffling, but John Hesp is getting his story taken to the big screen. It's going to be done by a UK-based company, and they're going to take John Hesp's story and tell it through the movie theaters. When reached for comment by the Hull Daily Mail, John Hesp said, "It's such a feel-good, happy story. I got contacted by 2 or 3 producers when I was out in Vegas, including some Hollywood names, but I elected to go with a UK-based company. The offer is formalized in writing, and I've just got my legal team sorting things out. It's about 90% through. We are talking several £1 million worth of budget for this film, and they are looking at filming 25% over here in Bridlington, however I pronounce that, and 75% in Las Vegas." Now, if you're not familiar with John Hesp, he final tabled the main event and cashed for $2.6 million, and he also brought a very colorful personality as well as wardrobe to the event. There were a lot of people rooting for him to win, and he did manage to take it down, but of course he had a historic run. My question is there really enough to do a movie here? Is there enough to show him playing the main event, or what other stuff could possibly have been going on? While it is still a feel-good story, and we definitely want more John Hesp out there making these deep runs, I'm kind of having a hard time imagining what that movie would look like. If you guys have any thoughts on the John Hesp movie, let me know in the comments below. That's going to do it for today's Poker News. If you guys enjoyed these stories, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you can get updates when more stories happen and support the channel. I think there was something else I was going to say. Just can't remember. What was it? What was I going to say? I think I mentioned everything.